Welcome to Cinematic Recaps. This movie is called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. The movie is about a group of rich people who's playing a game called Bodies, 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 which is supposedly a murder mystery. In the movie you will see them having fun and then ends up backstabbing each other, which turns out to be a deadly party instead. The movie starts off with a passionate kiss between Sophie and B. B never responds when Sophie confesses her love to her during their beautiful time together. In the midst of an impending hurricane, the two are traveling to David, the home of Sophie's childhood friend, for a party. B is from an Eastern European town and works, while Sophie and her pals are wealthy. When B first arrives at the house, she gets settled before Sophie leads her outside to meet David, his girlfriend Emma, Alice, and her more senior partner Greg, Jordan, and the rest of the group. Max was a different visitor, but he left the previous evening following an altercation with David. The other members of the group appear shocked to meet Sophie. Sophie and David enter a private space to speak. He admits to hitting Max because of something regarding Emma. David wonders why Sophie has showed up after he mentions that she was in rehab for drug addiction. They also express their unease over Alice bringing Greg, who is much older and about whom they know very little. Jordan warns B to exercise caution around Sophie in the meanwhile. The group hangs out, consumes alcohol and drugs, and then begins to party as it begins to rain. They engage in a game where they must shoot each other and slap one another. B's turn to slap David has come, but her blow is too weak. David gives Greg a heavy blow as a demonstration, shocking and disgusting the other girls in the process. As the celebration goes on, Sophie notices Jordan dancing closely with B and suggests that they play a game of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. The players must maintain secrecy while they pull names from a hat to determine who will be the murderer. They shut off the lights and retreat, for fear of being killed. B tries to blend in when she walks around in the dark while using her phone. Greg is viewed as the victim after the game. After David taps Greg in the nuts, it initially seems as though Greg might genuinely be dead, but he was only acting. As David explains the rules to B, Greg becomes irritated and decides that he is going to bed. After that, David suggests Emma as a suspect while trying to identify the murderer. When Alice discloses that Emma discussed her relationship with David and how they have never had sex, things become uncomfortable. David loses his cool and destroys something before leaving. The girls keep on having a good time until the house loses power. When B enters the kitchen, she discovers David stumbling against the glass door with his throat sliced. The other girls rush out to help him, but he passes away. Their car won't start, and they have no signal to phone for assistance. Fearing that one of them is a real killer, they scramble back inside. Given that both Max and Greg had reasons to harm David, they are both suspects. Despite Alice's protests, the others make her find Greg. Jordan prepares a cleaver for herself. The girls search Greg's bags in Alice's room. A knife and a map with the house's location marked are both discovered. Greg is discovered by the girls in the home's gym, where he was dozing off and wearing headphones. He initially thinks it's a joke until he ends up taking a knife from one of them when they ask him about the goods in his luggage and accuse him of killing David. The group agrees to lay down their weapons, but when Emma leaps on Greg's back, a struggle breaks out. B strikes him in the head with a kettlebell weight when he reaches for the knife once more, killing him. When left alone, Alice cries and screams. There is still a lot of tension. Sophie holds Emma accountable for what transpired, believing that she may have been a factor in Max killing David. She is made to flee after being insulted by Sophie. After Sophie apologizes to Emma, who they later run into again in the kitchen, Emma gives her a kiss in return. Indifferent, Sophie simply hands her a bag of pills as she indulges in some cocaine. Later, as Alice makes her way through the dark, she finds Emma lying lifeless at the bottom of the stairs, having suffered a terrible fall. The females keep blaming one another for pushing Emma, believing that it was one of them. After looking her up and discovering that she did not, in fact, graduate from Utah State as she had previously said, Alice and Jordan turn their focus to B, suspecting that she has been lying to Sophie about who she is. As Sophie watches in silence, Alice and Jordan drag B outside into the pouring rain because they believe she is the murderer. When B tries to get back inside, she discovers that Jordan is carrying a gun. B uses a doggy door to enter the house once more. In an effort to warn Sophie about Jordan's gun, B confronts the girls. B goes on to give Sophie an explanation of who she is, mentioning that she attended Utah State for 1 semester and works at the store she stated. However, B kept one thing from Sophie a secret: she was caring for her mother, who has a borderline personality condition. They believe Jordan is killing for real when a piece of paper marked with an X falls out of her bag, indicating that she was the victim in the game of bodies, bodies, bodies. Jordan then pulls a gun on Sophie and B because she believes B is lying. In the ensuing fight, Jordan accuses Sophie of acting like the victim due of her drug addiction and stint in treatment, while also revealing to B that she and Sophie had sex before they arrived at the house. Then Sophie declares out that Jordan is constantly disparaging Alice because she despises both of them. Jordan shoots Alice in the leg as she starts to fuss. In the course of the girls' struggle for the weapon, Jordan unintentionally shoots Alice in the head. As they climb the stairs, Sophie tries to grab Jordan's gun, and Jordan points the weapon at her. Jordan tries to shoot at them while B leaps on top of him. Jordan is knocked over the banister during the struggle by B, where she tumbles and becomes stabbed by shattered glass bottles. Jordan instructs B with her last breaths to look at Sophie's texts before she starts shooting madly into the air. B has begun to distrust Sophie as they both conceal. She seeks refuge elsewhere in the residence. When daylight arrives, B strolls about and discovers the dead bodies scattered all throughout. When Sophie discovers her outdoors, she sobs as she confesses to giving Emma pills and claims that she slipped and went down the stairs because Sophie feels responsible. Sophie is instructed to show B the texts on her phone by B, who then aims the gun at her. Before falling into the water, Sophie throws her phone and the two start to fight for it. When B exits, she discovers David's phone in its place. When they unlock it, they discover a TikTok on his phone where he tried to open a champagne bottle with a Gurkha sword after seeing Greg do it. Because David accidentally cut his own throat while doing the trick, no one was ever killed, and everyone's death was in vain. Later, Max comes home and queries Sophie and B about what transpired. B then realizes her phone has reception at last. And this is the end of this movie. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for weekly updates of movie recaps like this. Comment what movie you want next. Thanks for watching.